This brief introduction to gears. Now, gears are something we find in all kinds of things. I find on bikes, on cars, or even in all kinds of electrical things. But I'm going to show you with Lego. I think that most of us are familiar with Lego, so I'll talk us through a few of these gear things that we need to know. Now, the first, the most obvious, is this simple gear. Okay. Now, simple gears or spur gears, which is just quite straightforward cogs, they often connect like this. What happens is when you turn one, the other one turns, but they go in the opposite direction. So if I was to turn this one clockwise, the one it's joining onto there turns anti-clockwise. Okay, that's quite important. It changes the direction of motion. Okay, not the type of motion, but the direction. Then I could attach a further gear on the end there, and it would go the opposite way from this one. So maybe if this was going clockwise, this would go anti-clockwise, and the third one would go clockwise. Okay, that's quite important for us to know. So important is these are simple gears or spur gears, and the direction changes. Now, how fast do they turn? If you look, I can turn it small, I can turn it quite fast. The big one's turning slowly. And if I was to turn the big one, you can see how much quicker that small one is going than the big one. Now, how do we know how much quicker? That's how many teeth are on these gears. So this one here, big one, it's got 40 teeth. The small one's got 8 teeth. So that's going to mean, for this big one to turn to a whole lap, 40 teeth need to have gone round. But this has got 8 teeth. So for this one to turn 40 teeth round, it needs to have gone around 5 times. So if I was to start at the top here, I might get myself a pen. Okay. And lightly mark on this one. I can lightly mark on the top there. Okay, so I'm aiming to get that one back to the top. Okay, and I'm going to see how many turns it is, just to show you that it actually is going to be 5 turns. Okay, so I want that blue one needs to get back to the top, and we're going to start. So that we know, so blue at top, brown at the top. So this one here, let's do it brown. So the small one's got brown at the top, the big one's got blue, and we're going to turn it around to get that blue one back to the top. So turn the one with the brown on, small one, 1 lap, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4. Can you see the blue one's approaching? And then to finish it off, that's 5. Okay, so both at the top, and this one went on 5 times, this one went on once. So to work it out, it's just number of teeth on this divided by number of teeth on this one. Okay, that's our most simple type of gears. So our simple gears or spur gears. Let's move on now. Let's have a look at something a bit more tricky around this side here. So this one, this is like a rack, okay? You might think of it like a steering or something. So when a cog turns this, it's going to move along. Okay? It might be used for maybe opening a gate. So you could have, let's attach under here. So imagine you had a motor turning this cog. Okay, it would move that out. Okay, so we've got a rack, and this one's called a pinion. So rack and pinion. It moves, changes my rotary motion to reciprocating motion, so it goes in and out, like that, okay? So that's really good, because if I wanted to open or close something, I could just very simply turn the rotary motion of a motor into opening and closing a gate, or opening and closing a sensor, just by using a round motion of a motor, okay? That's a rack and pinion. So rack, pinion, rack and pinion. Right. Let's look at another type. I've got 4 on here, okay? So my next one is this one. It's like a worm, this one. This is a worm gear. All I'm going to do is I'll turn one, like in this case the worm, and can you see that green cog turning around? So this worm gear is used to change the direction of motion through 90 degrees, okay? This one's quite good because there's a bit of flexibility, you know. If these weren't directly lined up, it could still work. So this one's okay if things move around a bit, yeah. But these don't transmit a lot of torsion, not a lot of force. could be transmitted through here. You know, you can hold this one still maybe whilst you're turning this, so it's not really good for lots of force, but it's a very good way of turning that direction through 90 degrees. Right, now this is another method of turning direction of motion through 90 degrees. So if you look, you can see these ends of these teeth are going to shape about 45 degrees. Okay, so each one's at 45 degrees, so together they make a right angle. Could have these at different angles. Okay, so you could have them maybe at 30 degrees each, and then it would change the direction of motion through 60 degrees. But more commonly, they're at 45 degrees, and the direction of motion goes through 90 degrees. This is called a mitre gears. Okay, and this time I turn one, it turns the other one. And this time, because it's the gears are meshing up, and there's quite a lot of area here, this is good for lots of force. So you might have this in things like gears, so maybe the gearbox of a car, or maybe the axles of a car turning this, or a differential. Just by the gearbox, just by the axle in the car, could use something similar to this, because it transmits quite a lot of force. So this goes through 45 degrees, similar to the worm over here, the worm gear. But this one is good for lots of torque. Okay, so we've got mitre gears, change direction of motion for 45 degrees, through 90 degrees rather, T for colour 45. We've got a worm gear, turns the direction of motion again, but it's not so good for transmitting lots of torque. Then we've got our simple gears, or spur gears, and we can work out how much quicker one goes than the other. This is quite a common set of gears. You can use these quite a lot. It's about changing the speed of something, okay? Speed or force or something. And then we've got the rack and pinion, where we change rotary motion to linear or reciprocating motion by opening and closing gates. So that's a quick introduction to gears, and hopefully the core points you need to know about gears.